expected more people, but at the same time, I'm happy we didn't have more than the fire allowance. Because I was a little worried about that too. What if we had like 300 people show up? We'd be in trouble.
We need a bigger room.
It would tell us somewhere that how much we can have here. I think there's only 200. So, welcome. We're going to talk about fire safety, and then, so Lieutenant Armando Negrin will start and give a presentation, a slideshow presentation, and then we'll have time for question and answers. So, I'll turn it over to the Lieutenant.
Good afternoon, everyone. Can everybody hear me okay? Aha. The wonders of technology, huh? Even though my voice carries without. Let me introduce myself, and again, thank you all for having us here today. Thank Mark and the staff here at Arbor Trace for allowing us this opportunity to discuss fire safety with you in reference to your specific living facility here. A little bit about myself. I'm a state certified firefighter EMT, also a fire inspector too. State certified fire instructor, state certified public information officer, so on and so forth. As you can see on the list, I'm a member of our investigation team, so anytime there's a fire within the fire district, one of my tasks is if I'm be on call, which I am this week, I would go out and conduct the fire investigation, the preliminary fire investigation of the events. I have over 20 years as a first responder, and there's my contact information and my email address. If you have any questions, I will have some business cards out as well. A little bit of information about the North Collier Fire Control District. It's in the direction of that gentleman you see right there. That is Chief Eloy Ricardo. Okay, he is answers to a board of elected fire commissioners, a 5-member board. They're actually, in essence, our bosses. We serve over 143,000 annual residents, and that's within a 264 square mile area. So basically, from the water all the way out east, bordering the fire district of Immokalee, from Golden Gate Boulevard, Golden Gate Parkway, all the way up to the Lee County line. So as you can see, it's a pretty large area that we cover. We are an all-hazards response agency. That means that we don't only go to fires. We go to fires, medical calls, vehicle accidents, specialized events, natural disasters. Obviously, we were busy with that. Hazardous material situations, water rescues. We are actually our boat is literally a couple miles down from here. It's kept. That's where it's kept. It has quick access to any marine issues that may arise in the area. We respond with neighboring agencies as well. We have a hazardous, like I said, a hazardous materials team. It's a regional team, so we get deployed neighboring, assisting other departments within the local area as well. We go into Lee County occasionally. Our operations division responded to over 27 incidents. That was an increase from of about 4,000 calls from 2022. So as you can see there, we provided, out of those 27 or so thousand incidents, over 3,500 were mutual aid to other agencies, whether it be in Collier or Lee County. We do this from 10 neighborhood fire stations, your fire stations. Your actual fire station that is literally down the street about a half a mile or so, Station 43. That station is staffed on a daily basis, 24/7, 365, with anywhere from 3 to 4 firefighters and 2 additional Collier County EMS employees. Okay? The one luxury you folks have here in North Collier is that every one of our trucks is staffed with a paramedic on board. What does that mean to you? That our paramedics are able to render the same level of care as those paramedics on the Collier County ambulances. The only difference is that we cannot transport you to the hospital. So if that ambulance is tied up in another area, for example, there was a medical call here of any severity, our individuals will be able to render the same level of care that you would receive from that ambulance in a way to transport you to actually transport you to the hospital. They work a 3-shift rotation, so that basically means that those individuals at the firehouse on duty today started this morning at 8 o'clock in the morning, and they will work a 24-hour period ending tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock. So firefighters, if you don't know, live together, stay together. You spend 1/3 of your life at the firehouse. So some of the additional services, this is where I come in. I work for the Life Safety Division. We provide building inspections, primarily commercial occupancies and any multi-family residential units such as this building here. What does that mean to you? We come on an annual basis and we conduct a fire inspection of all the life safety features that are encompassing your building here in the facility. Okay, and that's where Mark, we have a connection with Mark, we arrange an inspection date, we come out, we conduct the inspections. The inspections we do are basically to make sure that the units are tested. We do not do any activation of fire alarms, we don't pull any of the levers, we don't flush any water. All that is done by third-party companies that building management is supposed to have arranged and so forth. We look for those tags, we look for those reports to make sure that these are taking place. In addition to that, we do all new construction. Anything being built in the district, we address the fire and life safety concerns and such. Okay? We're basically public education, public information, community outreach. That's where I fall in. Someone had asked earlier, where's Tank? We're very fortunate. We have a firehouse dog that I get to spend some time with. He is a 2-year-old Staffordshire Terrier. He is really cute. He helps us spread the fire safety message to everyone, primarily the kids. The kids love him. He's been working with the children since he was about 10 weeks old. We're very proud of him, very happy to work with him. I do get to take him home occasionally, every once in a while. So unfortunately, he does not stay with me primarily, and he took the day off today, so he's got a good life. We also conduct all different types of training. We handle all the water distribution. What does that mean? The water that comes out of your fire hydrants and so forth. We control that and make sure that that is flowing properly as it should be. We have a community emergency response team that falls under my partner, Heather. She is the primary handler of TANG. That's basically individuals from the community that want to partake and they're an actual asset to us when it comes to emergency situations such as hurricanes and so forth. Their help is very much needed and appreciated. And we also conduct emergency management efforts for the entire fire district. So, state of emergency is declared by the governor. We put our emergency management team in place. We work with the county and relay information as it comes down from the state and federal level, if the case may be. All right, a little bit about action plans. Very important. Your facility here has to have an emergency action plan. Okay. What part of that plan they disseminated out to you, that's something that you guys have determined, but it's very important that you know what has been disseminated down to you and adhere to such, okay? And those are mandated by state statutes. Okay, it's basically stated that any individual 65 and above is twice as likely to get killed or injured by fire compared to the overall population at large. Reasons for that, your mobility is decreased. The things that come with naturally getting older in life and so forth, okay? Out of that 65 or 12%, it makes up about 12% of the actual population. These numbers may be a little bit skewed, a little bit old, but it's essential to take necessary steps to know your emergency plans, to adhere to those emergency plans, your orders, so on and so forth.
Go ahead.
Some factors that may reduce the reason for you to get injured or killed, okay? Reduced eyesight, your loss of hearing, arthritis, impairs your mobility. Your reflexes are diminished. The folks that have memory loss and so on and so forth. Side effects of medication, very important. Know that, discuss that. If you're having any issues with your medication, if you're noticing anything, if it's making you dizzy in some way or shape or form, may impede your ability to react to an emergency, definitely address it with your doctor. Okay? There's several ways here that you can, very important, is advise us of the medications you may be taking. There's things that you can do. Collier 911 has different programs that you can relay that information. We come to your house and we'll be able to have access to those medications in case you may be impaired or so on and so forth. A couple of different fire safety tips. Smoking is the #1 cause of killer in older adults. So never smoke by your bed. If you do, I don't believe your facility allows that to take place here. But believe it or not, it does take place in other facilities and so forth. Okay, if you use a space heater, make sure that the space heater is away from anything that's going to expose it to that heat and so forth, where it may cause a potential issue. Okay, minimum requirement for that during the colder months is maintain that space heater 3 feet away from anything that may ignite. Okay. Most cooking fires happen when the food, when you're frying foods and so forth. So if you do such, there's literature back there. I've brought several pamphlets that are available to you that touch on different safety points. Okay. Any scented candles, I don't know if if there are a lot of you in your facilities, but if you have such, there's other alternatives that you can use instead of those scented candles, which have the open flames and so on and so forth. One of the biggest things we're facing right now on an international level, it's not only us in this fire district, you may be aware of it, I did bring some information, is this whole lithium battery issues that we're facing. We were brought to the spotlight during Ian with all the electrical vehicles that ignited, as you may recall. But that being said, electric vehicles and the requirements of for parking and charging stations and so forth, that is all being addressed now, again, at an international level. There's very little mandates that we can enforce as a fire district, and it's basically something that we're all learning in the fire service, okay? But now we talk about your computers, anything nowadays has a lithium type battery, okay? The only thing we can suggest to you, your scooters and so forth, a lot of people use that as a mode of transportation, is to make sure, if you're charging a scooter, for example, in your unit, or you have access to something that needs a lithium battery, make sure it's not charged in your area of egress of your unit, okay? Because if you can YouTube these things, it's all out, like I said, all over social media, you can see some of the dangers, but some of the things that we're finding is people are charging using their means of egress within their units and so forth, especially in high-rise buildings such as this. They're using them as, that's the area where they're going to charge them right at that means of egress of their apartment. The fire erupts and it blocks their means of egress. Okay? So the other thing is your laptops and your computer. If you're charging your laptop, for example, make sure it's on a hard surface where it has the ventilation, the ability to be ventilated underneath. Okay? Like I said, toothbrushes, anything nowadays has a lithium battery. So that's something, there's a lot of stuff at the state level that's being addressed. We're learning more and more of it. We actually have a informational seminar next week that we will all be attending as part of the Fire Prevention Bureau. So like I said, that's stuff that we're learning and we're bringing out that information. I've brought some information there that you can take a look at and see. What to do in an emergency, okay? First and foremost, here, you guys are very fortunate. You have a plan in place. Adhere to that plan, okay? If you do call 911, remain calm, okay? When you talk to that dispatcher, who here's had to call 911 for whatever reason? What do you recall from your experience?
It was great. They
Yeah.
were very fast. They work to keep you calm,
Mm-hmm.
and they tell you exactly what to do.
A lot of questions were asked.
Yes, a lot of questions.
Okay, very important to recognize that fact. Yeah, it may seem like an eternal amount of questions being asked, but for 1 minute, do not think that that information isn't being relayed to us and the units are being dispatched. Okay, we have actually the capabilities on each of our trucks to receive that updated information real time. So you may be providing them information that's vital for us as first responders to know, but that's why these questions, these tons of questions are coming through the pipe. Okay, you're gonna state the nature of your emergency, naturally the address. Okay, a phone number in case you get disconnected, they may ask you for that. Other vital information about the emergency. Okay, what's the situation that you're facing? It's important to remain calm. Okay, and like I stated, while they're gathering all this information, units are being dispatched. So there's no delay whatsoever from the time you call 911. Once they get their initial key information, those units are dispatched automatically. You will remain on the line with that operator getting additional information if the case may be. Okay, make sure your cell phones are fully charged at all times, especially at night. Okay, keep them in an area near where you know they're going to be at your nightstand, maybe on your means of egress on your way out of your apartment. You may be in the case where you have to shelter in place. Okay, so it's very important to know where that is at all times. What can be done to reduce some of the chances of surviving a fire? Be aware and adhere to your emergency plans. Okay, if you're asked to shelter in place, shelter in place. Once that incident is deemed safe, somebody will notify you, whether it be by your building's communication system, whether it be by the fire department, whether it be the building staff, somebody will notify you that it's okay to come out. Okay, it's very important to adhere to all the fire alarms and so on and so forth. Yes, they can be annoying, okay, but they go off for a reason, okay, and it's very important to adhere to such. So if you are one of those folks that has been instructed to shelter in place, or the name may be, please do so and adhere to that. We have here in the Fire Communications Center, there's a list of folks that have any special needs, and that's been addressed by your property management staff, and that's updated on a constant basis. So we know what individuals may need special assistance, so on and so forth, when that emergency takes place. Okay? Plan your escape route. Know where your escape route. So if you're actually one of those individuals that will is allowed to leave your unit, by all means, know where that escape route. Know where the nearest stairwell is. Keep that means of egress within your unit open and accessible at all times. Okay? Ensure your essentials are at arm's reach or where you know where they may be. You may need eyeglasses, you may need that cell phone, so on and so forth. Have that in an area that's close to you and know where it's at all times. Again, if you have the ability, know two means of egress from your unit. If it's just a front door, know where that front door leads and where your emergency point and your meeting points. Okay, that's very important here for this particular building. If you had informed me that it was the pool area, okay, it's the pool area. You're going to meet over there until, again, the situation is deemed clear by fire command. One thing to do if there's a fire and you're going to exit your unit is feel that doorknob. Check for heat. Make sure. Check underneath your doorway, see if there's any smoke. Okay. But anytime you feel such, you may need to shelter in place until we can address that. This building is fully sprinkled, and we're going to talk about the different life safety components in this building. It's fully sprinkled, so that is an advantage to the whole situation. Okay, if you're going to shelter in place, it is necessary to take refuge in an interior hallway or some smaller rooms with no windows, okay, such as a closet near a load-bearing wall. Okay, what is a load-bearing wall? Basically, anything that goes across your unit, whether it's a column, that's going to be a load-bearing type wall. Okay, you may want to keep a fire extinguisher. I don't know what the layout is of each individual units if they have a fire extinguisher, but you may want to know where the location of such may be. And again, very important, be sure to keep that clear path of exit in case of a fire. Know the exit locations. Know those signs where they indicate. They may have an arrow pointing to a certain direction for you to head out. This video will play it at the end. Actually, maybe we'll let people on. I'll find it on YouTube, and this is basically it. If your order to evacuate, stay out. Do not go back into your apartment, okay? If you are one of those individuals that is to go out, and because why? Fire doubles its size within 30 seconds. So that fire that's the size of this chair, in less than a minute, it'll be 2 chairs. Okay, and so on and so forth. So very important. Fire doubles its size, and you'll see this in this video. That fire actually starts off in one corner, and by the time a few seconds elapse on that time clock, that fire is pretty much engulfed that entire room. But anytime you're questioning the size of the fire, get out and stay out. Your fire alarm pull station is very important to know throughout your facility. I can see one right from here, right outside the doorway. Okay, they are not to be obstructed in any shape, way, or form, as they are here. Okay, know the locations of your fire extinguishers. If there's a pull station right behind me here, behind this column. Okay, it's very important. There's another one right by that doorway. And these are things that we as inspectors check and make sure that they're not obstructed and so on and so forth, and those are deficiencies we would mark during our normal inspection process. These are the different types of fire alarms that you may find. How does a fire alarm transmit? You pull a fire alarm pull station, it sends a signal to that alarm panel, which in turn sets off the strobe devices. Okay, those are the ones, the loud, annoying, bang, bang, or whatever, and the flashing lights, okay? Those are there to draw your attention. Okay, at that time, that signal is transmitted to the monitoring service, okay, whatever that may be, and they in turn call 911. The monitoring service contacts 911, which 911 here is controlled by the Collier County Sheriff's Office. They dispatch all the fire apparatus for Collier County. You get that series of questions, but at all times those units are responding. Talk a little bit now about the fire suppression systems that we have in place in this building. You have what they call a wet fire suppression system. Basically, what does that mean? That all the standpipes where we as firefighters hook up in case of a fire, they have water in them, they're pressurized. So the minute that we apply our fire hoses and open up the valves, we're receiving water. Okay. In addition to that, you're going to find areas outside, which we're going to indicate here a little bit later in the video, where we as a fire department hook up as a secondary means of supplying water to the building, if the case may be. Your sprinkler heads. These things that you see sticking out of the roof, okay, those are your fire sprinkler heads. They all set off at different degrees of temperature. Okay, the way it basically works is that little, you can see it, that little red, or here, that little red bulb at X temperature breaks, and it discharges copious amounts of water. Okay, some of the misconceptions, okay, that people have. If the fire sprinklers set off in this building, in this particular room, will it be set off in the hallway? No, it will not. It will only be where the fire contacts with such, the heat transfers to such. So, and then it'll take certain degrees, the fire extends to here, then this one will, and that's how they work, so on and so forth. Okay, if you pull the fire alarms, will the sprinkler be activated? No, they will not. Okay, it takes heat or flames to create the heat needed to discharge those. You pulling the fire alarm does not mean that they will go off. This is what we were talking about, blocking the fire hydrants, so on and so forth. Fortunately, it's not an issue that we don't do that here, but it does exist. Those pictures are there for a reason. Okay, it's very important. If you're parking your vehicles, if someone is visiting you, and so on and so forth, maintain those areas clear. You have your fire department connection, which is basically a stem that comes out of the ground where we as a fire department need to have access to in case of an emergency. So those areas have to be kept clear. Because if not, that may happen. Like I said, this is the fire department connection, what you see over here. This is the fire hydrant. This is where we would tie in as a fire department to provide water to the building. Okay, any questions so far? All right, here's the time now for a little, who remembers how many fire stations we have in the district?
10.
Who answered 10? Raise your hand. Ah, winner. There you go, you get a little, got a little ruler, a oven stick, and 10 fire stations within the district. Very good. All right, so this time we'll open it up for any questions. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I live in the tower in the 12th floor,
Okay.
and I would not be able, even in good health, I would not be able to go down those stairs.
Okay.
And I have a cat also.
Okay.
So I know that fire safety, you understand, but what about all the people here, which probably most of us couldn't possibly, even in good health, go down the stairs? So tell me what we do. Oh,
Did everybody hear the question?
yes.
Okay.
I'm sorry. Just
No, you're good. Okay, so basically her question was her possible inability not to be able to walk down those stairs. That's why it's important to recognize if you have been instructed to shelter in place, remain there. During that emergency, stay until the all clear is given, whether it be by your staff, whether it be by the fire department.
Just stay.
Remain in place, yes.
What if there's an actual fire? Just stay.
Stay in place,
Okay.
okay?
That's my question.
Yeah.
My answer. Thank you.
Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
Well, I'm gonna add to that.
Mhm.
If you cannot go down the stairs, you are supposed to have your name on a list down at our,
At the fire control room, you provide that to your management staff,
So
that
they
name is
know.
added to, and then we will be able to render aid to those folks that, yes, sir.
What is the difference between the green exit sign and the red exit?
It's just manufacturer difference, there's nothing whatsoever, okay? Good question, though.
Have you come up with a program for each individual high-rise?
Each individual high-rise basically falls into the same category, okay? So it's a general overview. We don't go into very much specifics because it's impossible for us to know the specific of each particular building. So we touch on the general overview, which basically all the life safety components should be the same throughout any high-rise.
Testing.
Coming to you, Lynn.
Okay, I'm just trying to think of the logistics. There are a lot of people here who are gonna need some assistance getting up, and in various levels of ability. Yeah, and some of us are on the 16th floor and some are expand. And so, and then some of us who are sort of ambulatory, but 16 floors is a bit much and so on. So, is there any guidance that you can give?
Well,
Because that's a lot of people.
yeah, absolutely. And what I'm going to go back to the suggestion I made earlier. If you feel that you're unable to, and you may be one of those individuals that may be required to shelter in place, and if you have special needs, relay that information to your management staff so we can have that information at the fire control center in case the emergency would arise.
And I might add, when Lieutenant Armando came here, we looked at the book, that's the first thing I said, now we have all these people. How are you gonna get all these people out? And he says, don't worry, we're gonna get them all out. The building's not gonna go all at once, especially with all these sprinkler systems. Chances are, you'll be staying there and we'll be making an announcement, well, the fire's over with, it's already put out, there's no worries, you don't have to, you're free to leave your unit now. Because it would have to be a major fire for them to have to take everybody out.
Yeah. Okay, you're very fortunate, like I stated earlier, this building has all the fire capabilities that are out there. They're well in play, they're inspected on a regular basis. The fact that the building is completely sprinklered, I'm not gonna say the likelihood, but it's an impossible scenario. No, nothing's impossible, but it's a very safe building. So it's important for you to relay that information. If you feel yourself incapable of doing such, maybe you want to be added to that list and so forth, and we will address it. But it's important to remain calm throughout the entire event. The likelihood of a massive fire these days, there's so many safety features in place, from the notification, our ability to get here quickly and extinguish the fire, isolate the fire to a particular area. That's why it's important for you to stay in your units, even if it's on your same floor. Stay in your units because we will make an aggressive attack and extinguish that fire as quickly as possible. Yes, ma'am.
Going back to lithium batteries.
Yes, ma'am.
Do most cell phones have lithium batteries?
Yes.
And do you have any idea or data on how many have caught fire?
We don't have an idea. Again, all we can do is the recommendations that are being relayed to us. Keep them, if you're charging them, keep them away from that doorway area, okay, because the fire may erupt and catch other things on fire. Make sure you're charging them on hard surface, don't put them on your bed. And I'm guilty of such. I put mine on my bed every night. So, but those are some of the things. Keep that with that ventilation process. What happens, you put it on a pillow or something, it'll prevent that. If you see any swelling, okay, very important to recognize. Any swelling in anything with a lithium battery, whether it be your cell phone, a toothbrush, so on and so forth. That smell of rotten eggs, those are indicatives, okay? It's very important if you're buying, for example, a charging cable for your phone, to buy what is the manufacturer's recommended not what you find on Amazon and so forth, the cheaper ones, because that's what we're finding that are causing these problems that we're having with the lithium.
Is that why they're asking you not to charge your phone overnight, to leave it plugged in overnight?
That, I would say more on the concern of putting it on your bed, for example, than the fact of having it charging on your nightstand where it's a hard surface and that ventilation is able to take place. Yes, ma'am.
Sometimes it seems to take.
Hold on a second. He's going to bring you the microphone.
Sometimes it seems to take forever for them to clear it,
What's that?
to clear the fact that they alarm has
Fire
gone.
alarm.
Oh, because there's an investigative process, another great point. It takes us a while to determine where the actual emergency is. They will silence, knowing the fact that first and foremost, there's not a true emergency per se. It takes some time to investigate such. They may have to, there may be no access to the elevators, okay? They may have to literally climb the stairs up to the 12th floor where it's showing on the alarm panel, because the alarm panel will tell us, indicate what device is going off. So those are the things sometimes why it's an extended alarm. And the initial unit will be involved in that, but then the secondary units are the ones that are going to be more responsible for the fact of providing water sources if there is an actual emergency, evacuations, and so on and so forth. So.
Can the manager or the maintenance man turn off the alarm?
Okay, great question, Mark. The fire alarm belongs to you as the building, okay? Well, the only thing we recommend as a fire department is that if you turn off that alarm or silence that alarm, make sure that there is no true emergency. Okay, so yes, your management staff can silence that alarm if they confirm that there is no active fire.
We were told differently.
Yeah, we were told it was a felony to turn off the alarm.
The only time it's a felony if there's any malicious intent, and that's not the obvious case here. That's some information that sometimes it's, but again, make sure, okay, that's the only thing. You as property management need to make sure that that emergency, and if you ever have an issue with one of our officers, bring it to our attention and we will address that. But it can be silenced, yes.
This may have come up, and I didn't hear it. Actually, there's almost 2 buildings here,
Okay.
and they're separated. You can't get.
From one side to the other, yes.
That's
So,
what I'm saying, is there a plan?
Good question.
Will have that actually tells you this, because one half of this could burn halfway down before the other half would.
okay.
And the fact of trying to move people around, if they're on the 14th floor or the 5th floor, makes a heck of a difference.
Okay, let me answer that real quickly in a real simple fashion. We have what we call a pre-fire plan, okay, which is basically a survey conducted of the building, and all those things are noted and such. When we come out, we physically come out and walk the property, okay? It falls under my responsibility. So this building has a pre-fire plan that we as the firefighters, they may come out and survey the building, okay? The actual, let's say what we call our first due companies, okay? They may come out, and you may see them here walking the property, and that's what they're doing. They're actually assessing the building and finding out those different things that have to be noted and taken into account in case of a true emergency.
And our list of those who are staying in their unit are separated by the north tower and the south tower. So when they pick up a book, it doesn't have like 401, 407. It just has everything that's in the south tower, and then another book has everything that's in the north tower. So there's no way that it would be confusing to the firemen thinking they can go from 401 to 407 because they're not on the same list.
This is a unified effort, not only from the fire department standpoint, but from your property management group as well. So we work hand in hand with each other. Their actual, all high-rise emergency plans are forwarded to us. We have them, we review them, and they get the actual blessing from the fire department per se.
I have 2 quick questions. One, if we have somebody who needs oxygen, are there different requirements for, oxygen is scary if there's a fire, obviously. So are they first on the list to get down and out, or do you have a priority system for something like that?
I'm going to say the priority system is based on who's closer to the actual true emergency if there is a fire per se. Okay? Because if you have a fire on the 12th floor and you live on the 3rd floor and you have oxygen, it's, you know, the odds of that, we will address that issue. We will actually probably extinguish that fire before we, you know, so,
But if we're all on the 12th floor, I assume, okay.
yeah.
The second question, comment, I'm guessing you would not recommend local management to turn off fire alarms very often?
They have their procedure in place, and I'm sure it constitutes the fact of investigating to come up to that conclusion where they can actually silence that fire alarm.
Okay.
So I'll explain how that will be handled going forward. On our fire panel, it tells us exactly where in the building, which smoke detector goes off, which floor it's on, so we can go to that floor, we can investigate, and if there's nothing happening there, then we can silence the alarm. We can override that particular smoke detector. But we will do it cautiously, because we don't want to make a mistake that could cost somebody's life or property damage.
And let me add to that. That will not, the fact that the fire alarm is silenced, that will not stop the fire department from responding. Okay? That alarm has already been initiated, activated. We will send out a unit just to simply investigate. We may downgrade our response, okay, confirmed by property management, you know, whatever, that information is relayed. So instead of sending 5 trucks, we'll be sending 1 truck, but someone will still be coming. Any other questions?
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
I know this has changed.
I live in a mid-rise,
Mm-hmm.
and we were told to go to where the garbage pails are. And we used to go to the pool house, which is correct.
I'll let Mark answer that question.
The pool house is going to be the location for every building, or the 2 mid-rises and the tower and at the clubhouse. That's going to be our safe area, is the pool area. The reason why the garbage cans is too close to the building and structures, and if it really was a big fire, there'd be several vehicles. There's not enough room. We want you to get away from the firemen, and that's why we think the pool is a better location, because it's away from most of the buildings. Plus, there's restrooms there, so you can use the restroom if you need to, and it's a nice area, fresh air.
Jump in the pool.
You can jump in the pool.
Yeah,
you
the
can
weather's
jump in the
right.
pool.
Yeah, by all means, take a quick dive. It's very important for you to recognize and be patient on, again, alarms are annoying. We understand that. But it's very important for you to be patient and let us do our investigative process to give that hopefully you can return to your unit. You know, it's not our desire to have you out an unnecessary amount of time when a fire alarm does go off. We'll do our best to conduct a quick, thorough investigation and make sure that it's safe for everyone to return to their units. Any other questions? You're very welcome. I'd like to end by saying on behalf of the men and women of the North Collier Fire Department, Chief Ricardo and myself, thank you for the opportunity. Thank you, Mark. Thank you to Arbor Trace for allowing us this opportunity to bring this information. Again, enjoy some of the refreshments you have out, and we have that information out there. I have plenty of pens, so take one of those limited edition pens.